echoes at hey what's up guys, I hope we are started our live. We are talking about echoes, probably airdrops and one color echoes and participants. And কি জানো রামদি রামদি ফ্রিজে ডাবাই থই না আন্ডা খালি এড়ে মরি বন্ধ আন্ডা কিছু বন্ধ হয়ে গেছে 116 bar GD 0.3152 echoes আর খাইতাম কি আন হে কথা কথা মানে তার মাথার ম্যাচ খারাপ হয়ে যায় in case GT within the individual's participation GTC airdrops you will receive and further introduction the HOS protocols and the documentation for most and transposition finance and GT's expense and the tokenizations and for most and bonds communications in dealings transplications and like enough then change introductions the formalities and founders for most apparent hypotheses and multi-chain office and the specifications and splashes BTS and ecosystems with the proven strict and reduce IN and leading applications and the buildings and investigations participants for top protocols and their investments BTC ecosystems and BM transcriptions highlight passion streams and admissions and to 5 points and then 12 months and visitings for and 24 months and investors the free 6 and 6.6% and the RTG unlocked 0.0% and that clip 6 months visiting 24 or month and the investments for most cryptocurrencies allowed and for that the weight and the investment seats for most cliff and 6 months and that the 24 monthly qualifications and that is capabilities and TG unlocked 100% that flips a month for applications. And month 0 month and basic 0 month ecosystem the individuals that 5.0% cliff 0 months visiting 36 months airdrops in cents and that unlock 5.050% month and visiting 1 month that TGs investment TG rate visiting 36 months that highlight versions ecos protocols and regulations and the unpredicted cross and ecosystems and staking capabilities with the over and 3.09 millions and TBLs that 3,500 BTC staked each and which Bitcoins assistant across multiple chains and the invocation seamless and yield generation stood and the investments and the mentions and for leading protocols and implications and agreements platform for analysis. Change blockchains and that cryptocurrency legalities agreement the platforms unlock that government documents and for most and like staking merchants forms the merchants forms and for protocols and securities. declines, submitting peoples and voting, then the programmer rewards and holding ratings tokens are credentials and that defense events and technical overviews in the HOS Bitcoin liquidity agreements and weight and instructions and the programming various and from us each that BTC's listed warfare and BTC's influence BTC engaged into the defense while minimize and like to competencies innovations yield the solution sticks reminded the trading market for the in fluctuations and the regularities for most and Prince protocols and restrictions the project and the details and contacts of resources and for gated to connect preferences and exchange the final using and various factors and then the biofactors the airdrops and then teams and contributions. And subscription agreements in each time and that purchase and that agreements get out to realized application purchases of the tokens and hybrid and agrees and feels for most about the hypothesis in light for most princess and interest prompts and the applications in the web recents and the graded agrees and contributions agreements and from most and purchase and that likes and that instructions and that tokens of তিনকে ঘুম জানাই ঠিকই খাইব additional knowledge and then agrees and যদি ঘুম যা বেতনি দেওয়া বাদ খাই আমি তো ঘুম দেই দিমু বাদ tokens and issues and why they should set a startups and বলা দিয়ে হবে ঘুম গেছে investments more than financial progresses and activities for 18 years and the full capacities and authorities accepted agreement that if participant tokens and purchase the construction bridge for any application loss and that investments for in liabilities. Ini kayak no?
Ini kayak beda naik kau aja. Jadi dia yang main dengan air tu ni abu sang dulu, buat tu dah berkali kau senang dulu.
Question since and connections mentions and united from and the United Kingdoms and governance for most and keep it for most and declines for parts restricted locations Japan, USA and Canada for most. And read in cinemas or any other countries in which and that Pakistan's governance for most and governance is being excluded and the crimes or any countries and that the personal residence tokens and purchase the restricted location Japan, USA and Cubase. Do এটা কত দিত আর কেন দাও ছোট কিনে দিবা and declare Pakistan and seamless European Union implications and like appearance in don't like the number rakhi do and come restricted locations for purchase and Sudan, Syria, Pakistan, governments of big countries, European based visitors email tokens and startup that was account the web get gateway account and verify safely gateway identity verification accredited finding the account amounts of set capabilities of most get and IO wouldn't I think huh without deposits and about the ownership futures founders and the should revenge and whom looks in the early game the outcome purchased and that the issues for token are issues and like the purchase issues and within the participant and purchase token order should meet and the fast user instructions and for startup and most knowledge and content order the place and the participants and for most securities due to successful token sales and for limited token sales and targets and registered are received in the successful token these are made and knowledge and they are good get successful and that input and order for you available the video can carry to factor any lose the payment and get out of one lost and that diamond contribution on successful token sale এটি খান না হ্যাঁ and token negotiated orders and quantifications and tokens are your receipt and the instance for most apparent in not fully priced আমি গেলা তারপরে কি দিছে বাবা দেখো এরকম কষ্ট হয়েছে কষ্ট আমি তাহলে কইতে fully and that not fully the tokens is to be requested and trade tokens you with the most apparent hypothesis purchase tokens and will be deal believe it's ammo সাবিরে দেখতাম না এদের হবে নাকি সাবিরে দেখতাম না গেটে সাবি কি এবার 5টা বাজে কোন উঠবো আমি কোনো ফোন সাউন্ড নাই আমি পুরালে কল দিয়ে দিবে সেটা রাইতেন না এত উঠবে বেশি সালাকে গরম পালানো অতিরিক্ত সালাক আমি এই বেশি সালাক মনে করে হেডের নিচে পালানো সালাক due to host get error and that decline startup get the rates account directly তুই তো বলে বাদ খাইছিস and reduce amount the candidates restrictions and thus many for restrictions and contributions thus startups and services requested for most and preparing tokens and approvals and the tokens issues us and for most issues and should take in like in all attitude and candidates completing stocks and that participate in the token airdrops and that distribution now it is and learn the I say give them and share the issues and the embedded stamps and police and the 8 at 25 15 UTC মা এতক্ষণ দেখছেন আমি কত শেয়ার না গোস্ত নিতাম নাম এতক্ষণ করে গোস্ত গলি করে আমি জানি আমি এতক্ষণ কইছি নি গোস্ত খাইবে না বলি এতক্ষণ আর করে আনবে না বলি আর ওগুলা বাস স্টেশনস ফর ট্রেডিং এন্ড ইনভেস্টমেন্ট ফর ইউজার্স ইচুজ মাইরি দোনো আগুলা বল ঠিক আছে and then below 5,000 USD who country was sharing a file for most apparent mixing candidates mixing and signed to 1,000 issues user rules and for most evidences and like to evaluation and they choose reverse and forward issues 5,000 USDs and one candidate issues 7,000 USDs 3 candidates and then build 10,000 so the introduction the issues protocols and based on bitcoins staking and liquidities instructions from most apparent and the holdings in that with the arm for the assist we have focus on individuals and the BTC question and staking runs and button on the event page after the successful joining the event and most completed the event check and the identity for most and more receive most reward and is declared for duplications and registered multipliers and account by inches and immigration multipliers and change it is multi sharing the other behaviors and multi account of the same transaction and same account and sub account participate in activities the market analysis and interactions and the notable allowed and participants in account participants and embedded activities for the underestimate and in version and the English version can English version sales people that get other international inspections and for events users can restricted users for the religious events and games on trade unrestricted access and the fraud is agreement the risk warning Bitcoin and traditional crashes and such as market conditions and politics and the market for more valuations price and the fluctuations affected market is and traded catch was the gate teams and the July 2025 gateway to Crypto and that about 2600 Crypto is saved and quickly is on gate attack action now and 1686 resources 40% commission stay connected and official website. Download GateLive for most appealing website commission stay connected and just to get more bonus resources status and topic. For this and transparency golded check 100% proof and receivers. The non-broker and prime application relationships get to capital brokers and agent advisors and from most retails. Startup fitting for any token and startup indicated approvals and the disapprovals and for the token issues and you should subscribe it and for your own understanding go to research and activate to the token and token issues. Among the investments and the versus the marketing round, but investment for your stories and that like solely information and the getter to provide applications and for without liabilities and from the price and like and distributions for most deliberating tokens and startup beyond like applications for most unique access and sales for must start sufficient and terminations and for access all you services from the token sale and available with the and they get type photos and explications disclaimers and or events and for most type potencies in excluding survivors and for complete elevation harmful companies BIA and these resources and for participants token and significant risks and faintest financial losses including indeed the following and coverage is fees for harmful and for most and hypothesis BIA disclaimers and that disclosures and that participants and startup financial losses and for most in following them that are tokens and part project issues and that 9 US applications for inlay six division ratings and that project business and improvements and that project that tokens and operations technicals and great application technologies and that integrated the technology and set and for implications and like to affect most intense and that scalabilities by and the solvent tokens and verification implications the tokens made resources and below the losses all the liquidations regularities activities on the governance and actions now and the like the tokens and most made resources and make list for most apparent evidences and regularity market of factors in like resources financial knowledge and order to opportunity seamless for most apparent evidences to my sense that gateway to photos account transactions without the knowledge and authorities BI verifications warrants and the US have been respected warrant the you have the steps and understand teams and for most potencies and like to apparent potencies and that true relevation stoops and that you have the significant and resting exposure and token and promulgations and that derivations and that potencies get to photos activities and that rules and tokens receipts with the exchange and for the show trade saloons and ICPs investments and BTC ecosystems and EVM introductions highlight the age of applications, relocations and DeFi bitcoins, DPs and returns and then unfettered and cross ecosystems and then staking liquidities transfer interactions and with our 3 to 9 million protocols and regulations and like most integrated and the ecosystems and the way and reward program holders taken tokens and gains and the users and special creators formulations events and technical overviews eachers and bitcoins and liquidities instruction address and BTC and from SaaS native BTC BTC STS and ORPET and BTC in integrations in DeFi mid maximums wild and throws in committing wild solutions the highlight versions and things that mention strings to 50% and teaching along the 0.00% clip Christmas and business 24 months in this investors and that free sits and that TGE unlock 0.0% and clip 6 months visiting 24 months in say 8.4% TGE unlock 0.0% click 6 months and visiting 24 months and that marketing TGE 100% click 0 months and visiting 0 months and ecosystem investments and feedback and 0.0% and that clip for 36 months and 11% on 10% and 5% visiting and that 1 month and that is from exclusive accounts and load GTs to exclusive ones and project systems will track and track and stick modified items and spectics and then however and most ROMs Howlies and the holdings finals and the exclusive for a balance and holding during the holders and below the one GTs say amounts fed the first GTs and the belows and airdrops participants the airdrops spread one GTs and the holdings and project and the first GTs and will burst holdings and it was in the trading volume for more we have airdrop and we you will receive the project introduction the issue and that expand and that tokenized and then the communications and individual transportation assistant management on chains আসলে ব্যাগেতে টেন আওয়ার গেল যাই আল্লাহর বাস থেকে উদার লাগলে লই যান আর যদি কোন উদার লই যাবেন তাহলে অনলাই ডলার বাঙ্গাম আর যদি কোন লাগবে তাহলে ডলার বাঙ্গাম স্পেশালাইজড ইন বিটিসি ইকোসিস্টেমস guidance programs street guidance and the leading sales program সার নাম নাই দিলে হইলে দিন চাই না and building state partnerships and you had to balance welcome I know and trade saloons and ICPs investments and BTC ecosystems and EVM introductions highlight the age of applications, relocations and DeFi bitcoins, DPs and readings and then unfaded and cross ecosystems and then staking liquidities transfer improve interactions and with our 3 to 9 million protocols and regulations and like they are most integrated and the ecosystems and things and reward programmer holders taken tokens and gains and the users and special greatest formulations events and technical overviews features and bitcoins and liquidities instruction address and BTC and from SaaS native BTC, BTC, STS and ORPET and BTC in integrations in DeFi mid maximum so 1.00% clip Christmas and business 24 months investors and that free sets and that TG 0.0% click 6 months and business 24 months and that marketing TGE 100% click 0 months and business 0 months and ecosystem investments and 3 and 0.0% and that listings and that 1 month and that is from airdrop and you will receive the expressions key vital and then inspection GPs the formally founding and constitution amute asane from my bag at 10 hour daily যাইয়ে আল্লাহর বাস থেকে উদার লাগলে লই যান guidance programs street guidance and the leading sales program সার নাম নাই দিলে হইলে দিন চাই না and building state partnerships and you had to balance welcome I know and trade saloons and ICPs investments and BTC ecosystems and EVM introductions highlight the age of applications, relocations and DeFi bitcoins, DPs and readings and then unfaded and cross ecosystems and then staking liquidities transfer improve interactions and with our 3 to 9 million protocols and regulations and like they are most integrated and the ecosystems and the ways of the maintains and decline the tokens ecosystems and by staking and token getting governance and such communication properties and bit votings and reward programmer holders taken tokens and gains and the users and special greatest formulations events and technical overviews features and bitcoins and liquidities instruction address and BTC and from SaaS native BTC, BTC, STS and ORPET and BTC in integrations in DeFi mid maximum so wide and throws in committing wild solutions the highlight versions and things that information streams 250% and teaching along the 0.00% clip Christmas visiting 24 months investors and that free seats and that TGE unlock 0.0% and clip 6 months visiting 24 months invest 8.4% TGE unlock 0.0% click 6 months and visiting 24 months and that marketing TGE 100% clip 0 months and visiting 0 months and ecosystem investments and 3 and 0.0% and that clips and for 36 months and Elvin Distance 110% and 5% visiting and at 1 month and that is pro
and then discuss and the word and the for practicing and the apples and the commercial CQs, how to play apples as many and then training to stay rewind and then one without the
and get autograph photos and then the like to applications and then get the most and specifications for most impression and that builders and that exclusive studies and thanks for occupation and rate expected if details and then come back and then I see the one go and applications and liked and hypothesis for most and that likes applications and threat and those the protocols and left on the content use duties and that likes for most and that the NTS a bit issues and that resources protocols the issues protocol together new grounds and bitcoins and the latest details and for most and even giveaways for most and resources sufficient আয়ের কথা বালা দুইবার নেই কিন্তু হ্যাঁ দুইবার নেই কিন্তু ফের বর্তমান দুইজন লাগবো খাইতে কিনতে কাম হয়ে গেছে operated launch by operated by inspections and that light and that new falls ARTs balls and exclusive indications and each other is it is put and for most preferences and like that falls and get abstracts issues and five লাগাইছি ওই explains and protocols I do ফুড়া আইয়া মালিক বুইয়া and red lights and pattern is and details and forward but here লাগাইছি খালি and it shows publications and light protocols for most নাইলে আব্বুয়ে কবিরা গোসল করবে and then now and fortifications welcome to the issues and errors and everything ambassador programs and the April part of 23 April and for most applications and competencies for most and that like the belies and reflecting and for and like posters assisting over the years and that likes and the ecosystem broaden market notes and for most so much standard certifications and BTS events for most and like quotations the livings and each school also it's also ended likes and that specifications appeared and some build and applications more and true specifications and like and that the programmers help efforts and the information and moves whites and that live on issues and is in natives for most coming in the forest from the Chinese and cryptocurrencies native BTC is the most appeared in cryptocurrencies for activities movement, loving issues from and clearations. The issues are tricked and that the cycles of vehicles, banks and airports and five and apathis. Conjuries are the minutes and like to and appears comforted its key applications and each for most servers and she's beds and to likes in this times and here breakdowns we choose bold and straight stakes and the tracks and 19th May 2005 the mighties all the regulations and the 3G is incoming choose protocols and that next trading bit and purpose on the deposits we choose times wallets web3s and himself and joining your confines but also about web3s and that protocols and visions users can leadings in like to appear most that the implications for most and the clearations amplifications and exchanges the ecosystem issues them and it is fed implications and liked and credits and written and written that the moves and limits and for blockings and efforts and LFs and efforts the applications and like those and the about it joins 47 million in and that win and bilus wingers bilus and that broken applications and from like but that's and spotted for most in and notifications and then I will and yes for vacations show most of notifications implications and verifications and then protocols and that we have the trace networks for most and change on market data users and opportunists and that each other send wallets for most and is 1 minute trade eaches and fraud by upper stress strength verifications and for update and APTs on and show more applications like cryptocurrencies in chillist. Applications and like to cryptocurrencies and shade accesses the most in applications and for that the approaches and that nokas and the trail styles and new styles for more process and the users and appress BTC was way to countings and the BTC holdings and like to most apple preference space rare and the BTC's pools and rights applications and verifications applications and the rapid and OKX modifications and then meters and the my slogans heroines and dates access and XY jets and the questions and multi 30 million storms and potentials and light insurance the issues below and then the corporations and that including Nico and metrics and form of the applications and like it is now is a swarm of Encryptions and most event to see more and that verifications and has state has and that verifications playing the issues and the where is the issues and the issues the best and layers on the and like and that informations more the information and status for most protocols and for most encryptions and light distributions and show more that and to like evidences and outlook thinking for and evidences are the two applications and applications and outlooks that prepares marks and replications and like that applications and bid difficult stickers and 1 billions and keep now for most and applications that like to and that on adverse link rate and for applications. Thank you guys watching my live. I will finish my live in 2 minutes. Thank you. I will